Okay, so this is the third video on introducing thinking to our robot. So far we covered the distance sensor, the bumper sensors, and now we're going to learn how to use the eye sensors, so which allows us to detect color. So in this case, we're going to be using the playground called Castle Crasher. And as you can see here, we have a red border and we have a bunch of different game elements on the map. So it kind of looks like little castles. So what we're going to do is going to use the red border to make it so that we can keep our robot from falling off the map. This is like you see in this map, there are no walls, so the robots will keep on driving until it falls off. Or even if it falls off, it's going to keep driving. So let me go ahead and drive forward, run the code. So it crashes through anything, knocks it off, and then our robot falls off the map. Yep. So what we want to do is we want to make the robot capable of deciding whether or not it's going to fall off the map and avoid that from happening. So again, one of the big key things is that the border is colored red. And so what we're going to do is we're going to tell the robot to drive forward. And we're going to keep on repeating until something happens. And then what we'll do is we'll tell it to stop for a little bit, maybe half a second. And then we'll tell it to back up for about maybe 100 millimeters. And then we'll tell it to turn, let's say, 30 degrees. Yep. And what we want to do is we want it to keep on repeating this forever. So it keeps on going around the map and avoiding falling off. Okay, so let's do the opposite of 30 degrees. So let's say 90 plus 30, 120 degrees. Okay, so if we go to our distance sensor, or our sensors, we have the eye sensor. So we have three different types of detection. So we have whether or not the eye sees an object, whether or not it detects a color, or whether it detects a certain brightness. So like if you're doing a light source, if something's too bright, too dark, we can use that as a trigger event. Okay. So in this case, we're going to make it so that we're going to keep the robot driving forward until it actually sees the color red. So in that case, we're going to grab this one. And we don't want to use the front eye. We want to use the eye that's looking down at the ground. So that's going to be the down eye. Okay. So the idea is that the robot drive forward until it sees the color red. Now we have to be very, very careful because as mentioned before in the previous video with distances, that depending on how fast the motor goes, inertia and all that stuff will affect how long it takes for it to stop. So if you were to run this at 100% speed, the robot may go too fast for the sensor to pick up what's going on. The other thing also is that the sensor is more or less located a little bit towards the center of the robot. So it's not out in the front sticking out like that. So you can see the bumpers kind of extend beyond it and it kind of just right around where the front tire starts at. So we have to keep that in mind because like if the robot detects the color, it may already be kind of crossing it and already halfway through falling off the map. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and we'll change the velocity maybe to about, let's say 75% speed. So a little bit faster than default speed, but also not so fast that it can't control itself. Okay, so again, we have it so it's looking for the color red and it keep on driving until it sees the color red. If it does, we stop, back up a little bit, and then do a rotation so that it goes on and moves on, and then repeats that again forever. Okay, so let's run the code. So it's driving forward, sees the color red, backs up a little bit, stops, turns around. Okay. And again, I've added that reverse because it's very, very important so that it backs up so it's not in the red anymore. So if we actually remove that reverse statement, so let me go ahead and disable that, we can actually see what happens with the robot. So you can see right there, it kind of crossed too much into the red, so it kind of repeats that twice. Okay. And so that's how we go about using the eye sensor to pick up certain colors to kind of, in this case, to keep it from falling off the map.